Hello again. We're back to the books and the books that were directly or indirectly influential to me, or I was happy to have come across. This is the same anthology that I mentioned to you in the last video, Norton Anthology of American Literature, Volume 1, Second Edition. And if you remember, I said I found this book in a book sale in Norman Public Library here in Oklahoma for $1, and it's probably the best dollar I spent in my life. In the last video, I said how I came across Henry David Thoreau, and I mentioned to you the connection, him writing about Sa'di or quoting from Sa'di, the major Persian poet whom I was familiar with, and that got me started. But the person that really made a huge influence on me, or I should say touched my heart in a big way, was John Woolman. He was a Quaker. He lived from 1720 to 1772. He passed away 4 years before the American Revolution started. And let me pause here and give you a little bit of the background of where I was in life at this time. I was born and raised in Tehran, Iran. I was 18 in 1977 when I came to the United States with the intention of getting a PhD in 7 years and returning to Iran to teach. I knew I was coming to the United States, or I was going to try my hardest to come to the United States since I was 11 years old. In some other videos, I've kind of gone in a little bit more of detail talking about this, and I will eventually link those videos to this playlist. But let me suffice it to say that I wanted to be a teacher and somehow touch people's lives. And that's why I wanted to get a PhD and go back and teach at the universities in Iran. Lo and behold, the Iranian Revolution happened, and Iran and the United States went from becoming the first best buddies to almost the worst enemies overnight. And I, along with a lot of Iranians, were caught in the middle of that craziness. I was deported, along with a lot of other Iranian students, voluntary departure, because that was one of the decisions that President Carter had made. If American hostages were not released, that was the first action taken by the federal government to retaliate, or maybe try to talk the government of Iran to release those hostages. Anyways, I got caught in the middle of that, and in June of 1980, I was in the middle of a relationship, and in June of 1980, my first son was born, and lo and behold, my relationship with his mother started souring, and in all fairness to them, I'm not going to talk about it right now, hopefully later, but I had to deal with that 2, 3, 4 years, and was hoping that things would get better, and they didn't. So I'll talk about this more later on, and you will know the reason why once I tell you about it. Anyways, right around this time, I met the person who was going to be my wife soon, got married, and my second son was born in January 1984. And that had the greatest impact on my life. And the best way I can explain it is a line of a poem by Molavi, or known as Rumi here in the West. مرده بودم زنده شدم، گریه بودم خنده شدم، دولت عشق آمد و من دولت پاینده شدم. and to be translated later on. But if you have ever been fortunate enough that God sends you the feeling of love, absolute love, I'm not talking, just your ordinary love, something that really changes your universe. I was fortunate enough to feel that. And so the life of my first son and the second son, and the fact that I had to tolerate all the ugliness that was around. So again, in some other videos that I posted last year, I've talked about these, and I'll talk some more. But I was in the middle of getting an engineering degree, but right around 1985, that was definitely when I decided that I'm going to be a teacher, but hopefully of a different kind. The questions of justice, fairness, really were at the top of my interests. Justice for everybody around the world, fairness, questions of poverty, wealth, all these things really took all my attention, and I decided to go ahead and work on my degree a little bit. I was at a point where I just said I might as well just finish it. And over the years, I have, with the exception of a handful of people, I mean, my family knows it, but I've not shared this with anybody, just because I didn't think it was relevant. I was fortunate enough to start reading and studying what was going on around the world. And fast forward to late 1980s and early 90s, this is when I came across this book and the authors that are mentioned here. And I was fortunate enough, I have said it somewhere else, it's as if a person is so lost, and then all of a sudden, before entering a city and they have very limited time, somebody gives them a map of the important people in the city. And I don't mean the rich people, I mean the important people that have lived a good life, that have made a mark on society. Somebody would all of a sudden hand you the map and say, these are the first people that you need to meet and make the best of your time. And this is what I think of what I came across this. I came across names where I could read a little bit about, find them exciting, and then go read more and more and more and see who they were and how, what my take would be on them. So John Woolman, a Quaker, I come across him, and I was fortunate enough to thumb through his journals, read them. And somewhere over here it says, my employer, having a Negro woman, sold her and directed me to write a bill of sale, and man being waiting who brought her. And I'll let you read the rest. But seeing this man struggle with writing a deed for slavery, and for the first time saying, this is wrong, as a human being, this is wrong, as a Christian, this is wrong, and then devote the rest of his life to changing things around. Coming around, seeing people like this will make you tolerate all those other people, or will help you not focus only in the bad that other people do. It allows you to see the handful of good people amongst the 100 that are willing to give it their best, give it all to make other people's lives better. So I'll leave you with that, and we'll talk more.